Welcome back to Southeast Texas Weekly, where we are all, as Texans, trying to determine exactly what Governor Rick Perry was thinking by coming into this presidential race. You've worked with the governor many a time in Austin, and believe me, a great many of us are beginning to wonder what happened. He always seemed like a better campaigner, even a better debater than he has been.
I think he has and stuff. And just before he started the announcement, we were at a function with him where he sat down the whole function. He was in tennis shoes and he sat down, and that's just not like him.
Where is this?
This was here in Beaumont.
Here in Beaumont.
And,
he sits down and he's telling you the story.
And he's talking the story. He's talking to people and stuff. But that's not like him. When he comes down here, he's down here for a couple hours, and he's working the crowd. He's talking to them. He's walking around. He's standing up. He never sits down. He never does that, and hardly ever wears tennis shoes and things. And you could tell his back was hurting a lot. He was very, very stiff from riding the plane.
So, Mike, you think this is all because of his back problem?
Well, no, I think a lot of it has to do with it.
You think it does? Yeah.
I think, he's...
Were you surprised? Did you see some of those debates, by the way? Did you see, most notably the debate where he doesn't know, which agency he wants to put the kibosh on?
I mean, that's one of those things you need to do when you do debates. You put some little, even though you start blank page, you go up there and put your notes down real quick.
We all have senior moments, and the more senior we get, the more moments we have.
And, there's been a lot of times I've been at a speech before,
I know that feeling.
And I forgot what I wanted to say or missed a section out of something. And, and it's pretty
easy. As a political leader, it's got to be almost a little frightening to think of yourself being in that position where you're going to get the question and you know exactly what you want to say. It happened to Herman Cain as well.
Yeah. But when you're up there with the other debaters, you've got to be at the top of your game.
Right.
This is live TV, and you're in the spotlight.
You're in the national spotlight, and it's a lot bigger than just being in Southeast Texas or being in Texas.
Did the governor of the state embarrass the great state of Texas?
He didn't embarrass me because he's my governor in status only. I wish I had somebody else.
What do you think?
No, I don't think he embarrassed us. I mean, those are just stumbling blocks in a political world, and all of them have made it. Gingrich has made them, and most of the candidates have made
mistakes. There's more to his failure than just that.
Perry embroiled in what's turning into a very vicious primary campaign season. Is it, in fact, the most negative primary campaign in years? Newt Gingrich seems to think that he has been hit with $7 to $8 million worth of negative campaigning alone. I don't know. What do you make of that?
Well, there's a lot of fodder on Newt Gingrich, in his personal political life.
There's a lot negative, you're saying.
There's a lot of negatives there, and people are, he's one of the front runners, and are going to hit him.
Ronald Reagan is probably turning over in his grave.
Yeah, I
never speak ill of a fellow Republican.
And I'm a big opponent of being positive and telling people, what have you done for them? What can you do for them, and what you have done for them? And when you see people coming into any politics, whether Democrat or Republican, and they come in, they start doing this negative stuff, and then they start doing personal stuff.
The people in Iowa and the other Midwestern states, they don't react well to all that.
No,
they don't like
we don't down here either.
And it gets me even worse whenever somebody says they're a Christian, and they go in there, and then they start doing this negative stuff, and they're just being hypocrites.
But you got to hand it to Gingrich. He has stayed away from that.
He does seem like he has stayed away from it, but he's now dropping in the polls. Are you surprised when you see Newt Gingrich falling in the polls? Is that
no, he doesn't have enough money or enough organization to be effective.
Well, the debates are over, too. He's done well in the debates, and his notoriety and his popularity goes up when he debates because he's a very smart, intelligent man.
And Ron Paul is just back there biting away, nibbling along.
How is it that Ron Paul has not yet been hit with the fundamental attacks that he used to have? He just supported a bill this past year for decriminalizing the use of marijuana.
They're biting in.
How come that
I think that's because he hasn't got it in the front runner yet and stuff. If you look at any of the races, when you start looking at them, when you take the Iowa and New Hampshire stuff, usually the one that wins it didn't win Iowa, and they didn't win New Hampshire. And it was really about 4 or 5 primaries before they started doing it. Obama didn't win until halfway through the primaries.
He was unknown, really.
He was unknown. Bill Clinton was the same way. Ronald Reagan started off like that. George Bush even lost New Hampshire and Iowa to McCain the first year.
They asked Ron Paul about the Civil War, and he said it was a terrible mistake, and it should have been done. They should have just bought the slaves from the Southerners and given them their freedom. Of course, I don't think that would have happened to begin with, but if it did, they'd have just bought new slaves. slaves and let you keep the old ones. You know?
Would it feel like Christmas all year long if the Republicans nominated Ron Paul for president? Would it just feel
I would
like...
be so happy.
I thought you might say that. Who will win it? Who will win the Iowa caucuses? We go to
Well,
you first.
I think, you know, in the Iowa caucuses, there's a good chance that Ron Paul could win it. You know, the caucuses, though, are a little bit different than primaries.
Yeah,
People don't understand it. The caucuses are not where you go into the vote.
They're retail politics.
They're retail politics, and they hire professional people to come in and bring people in and stuff, and so it's very skewed in the way that they come out.
It's not indicative of what the people's choice is.
So if Ron Paul wins the Iowa caucuses and Mitt Romney wins in New Hampshire, then South Carolina and Florida are really going to be mixed up.
Because they're in play.
Yeah. That's really going to make for a messy
I'm not being totally
season.
cynical about Ron Paul. I wish we did decriminalize marijuana, and I wish we did get out of Afghanistan and Pakistan tomorrow. And that's two of his big points. So I'm not totally cynical about Ron Paul. I'd like to see him drive some of these issues.
You'd be prepared to vote for him.
No, he's got too many other nutty ideas.
I didn't think we would get him to go that far.
You're not going to get that Christmas present.
All right. Well, Newt Gingrich has supported a one-year extension of the payroll tax cuts we talked about before. He says this of the talks: Obama is so inept as a president, and the Congress is so dysfunctional as an institution that we're lurching from failure to failure to failure. Is it good politics on Gingrich's part as we come near the Iowa caucuses for him to attack everybody?
No.
Virtually everybody.
We need more cooperation, not less cooperation.
More cooperation in Washington. Do you ever wish you were in Washington?
No.
You never wish?
I have no plans. They talked to me about that when we did redistrict this, and there was a definite no. I'd be either getting in fights up there or something would happen, because those boys, you know, in Texas, we work together, whether you're rural areas work against the urban areas, where you're Democrats, Republicans, whether you're independents, or you know, we work together on things to get what's done for good for the state of Texas.
That's the only way you can ever accomplish
anything. And we get things accomplished. And you look at Texas, what we've accomplished in the last 10 years of good government, good business abilities, things that have done really good in some Texas. Republicans have won some things, Democrats have won some things, but in all, we've come out with some great things.
But that's Gingrich's, that's what he tells about himself. When he was the speaker, when Bill Clinton was president, they got a lot passed. They worked together. The Congress is dysfunctional right now. They won't work together.
Godfrey Leggett, Democratic activist. Godfrey Leggett, should the president's uncle be deported from the country? No, wait, don't answer that and more when we come back. It's How These Texans Weekly.